Should you have the right to choose what you drink and access raw milk if you're a consenting adult who's going to your own farm, or should you have this guy, or not your own farm, but your buddy's farm, a farmer near you? You gotten to know them, you like what they're producing, you want to buy some milk, right? We're not talking about cocaine today. We are not talking about any other number of the drugs that the pharmaceutical companies can advertise on television. We're talking about raw milk. And this guy here, obviously a sheriff's deputy, served Triple Oaks Farm with basically a notice saying they had to cease and desist selling raw milk. They sell as a private members association. So basically, Bryson Lipscomb, who's going to be on in just a second, he will explain what a private members association is, but it is exactly what it sounds like. You become a member, and as a part of your membership, you get some milk. It sounds so simple, and it sounds like, we're in the United States of America. It should be legal. But my friends, we're going to hear about how they're now going to court. Okay? So this episode may make you want to drink. I don't know. Maybe you don't have any raw milk, so you're going to have a glass of wine. If you're going to have a glass of wine, then you definitely need to be with the Allison Wine Club, because this is fantastic wine that is sourced for all the stuff that I like. Okay, we're talking about raw milk. I don't like to drink. I mean, I guess if I was desperate, maybe I would drink ultra pasteurized, homogenized milk. I really probably would prefer water over that. I drink raw milk. I clean my house with vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. I'm not going to drink wine that's got a bunch of crap in it. So if you are somebody who enjoys wine, got a glass with your dinner every night, you want to celebrate at some point, you don't want to celebrate with a bunch of toxins, join my wine club. They picked all of these bottles of wine for the stuff I like. Many of them are sourced from very, very small operations. Actually, I will say all of them are sourced from just small craft, but some are very, very small vineyards, been around for over 200 years, fifth generation winemaking techniques, doing it the way their great great grandparents did. Some of the vineyards are between 6 and 9,000 feet in elevation in extremely remote regions of Argentina, for instance. And they're also just great bottles of wine. You will get 6 bottles every 3 months, and you will never show up empty handed to any of the awkward holiday parties that are on the horizon. You will never show up awkward to a birthday party. My dad's birthday was yesterday. No, Monday. See, now I'm going to have to get him a bottle of wine because I forgot his birthday. So this is how it works. You will always have a great bottle of wine on hand. You won't have to worry about going to the grocery store. You won't get all the nasty fillers and dyes and stuff in those wines. And you will have a great wine you can keep yourself if you don't want to give it away. Okay, so AlisonWinePromo.com, AlisonWinePromo.com. See you over at the wine club every 3 months. You get your delivery. You don't have to worry about it. All right, let's bring in Bryson. He's going to talk to us all about what we're watching in this photo. Bryson, I'm glad you took this photo. I think a lot of people probably would not have thought to do this. Who is this guy?
Well, he's just a guy doing his job.
A lot of them are. All of
They,
us are, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, when I was a TV reporter and I didn't think about any of this, I was just doing my job too. But
yeah,
that doesn't mean you can't do significant harm in the
yeah,
process of just doing your job.
sure. Anyone who swears an oath to the Constitution should abstain from committing any, constitutional violations, doing whatever job it may be that you swore that oath to. But that's just not the case. That's not, that's just not how it works. No shade to this guy. This is just, full transparency, basically. It's not just a photo. We have the whole video, actually, from 2 angles. But, this thing.
What happened? Let's just say
Yeah.
what happened on this day before we even get into what a private members association is. What are you doing at the moment this guy drives up onto your property?
Oh, my wife and I were just in the kitchen, and we have a really good visual of the road from our kitchen, from our house. It's a pretty open floor plan, and we see this deputy slowing down and turning in the driveway. And man, unfortunately, I had left the gate open because I had to go up there with the tractor or something. Because that's the reason we have a gate at the end of our driveway. It's not for the local criminals; it's for law enforcement, which is really, it's kind of crazy. But no, we were like, why is this cop coming down our driveway? And so we immediately, get our phones out, because when this sort of thing happens, whether it be a cop or a state inspector or federal inspector, you pull your phone out and you record everything. So that's what we started doing. And man, it's a shame because I actually know this guy. He lives just down the road from me, and I saw him in his car rifling through this huge stack of papers. And he's like, when he got out, he's like, "Do you know anything about this?" And I said, "I have no idea." Turns out it was about milk, and it was related to a cease and desist order or letter that we had gotten like 8 months prior to that date, um, accusing us of selling raw milk to the public, which we don't do anything with the public. That's kind of the whole point about a private membership association, is we operate within the private domain.
And
So, anyways, it was a shame
Bryson,
to.
real fast, since you brought that up, is it
Yeah.
like somebody pays a monthly fee? How do you pay into your membership?
It depends on how you set it up. It's up to the trustees of the association. We have a one lifetime once. What am I trying to say? They have to pay one fee. It's a lifetime fee, and then they're good for life. So I think some people do have it set up with monthly. It depends on if you want to like make money off of it, I guess.
Uh-huh.
To us, the way we look at it is just I don't want to have to. I don't want you to have to pay anything to exercise your God-given constitutional rights. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, but as far as the courts go and judges, we need to exchange some form of compensation. It actually used to be $1, but apparently judges would view $1 as too minuscule of amount, so we increased it to $5, which
And
still
you
seems
pay
pretty
for your
minuscule.
product? Is that right? You pay your membership fee and then you have access to paying to the product.
Right, you have access to other products.
Okay.
Yep.
And so this guy comes up and you know him. You're saying you know him, so it's kind of unfortunate. How did you
It
get
is.
to know him? Where did you originally meet should I call him a deputy somebody?
Sure, I'll keep his name out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was a customer. He had been
Really?
a couple of years in the past. Yeah, so he knew us. He knew what we were
Ugh.
doing, and he still chose to carry out that order to
Did he
his
say,
job.
"I'm sorry I have to do this, but I'm doing it anyway"? What did he say?
No, he got mad that we were recording him and told me. He said he was like, "I didn't expect this out of you." I was like, "Well, I didn't expect it out of you either, buddy."
Oh,
But
interesting, interesting. All right, so it's a cease and desist, and you're saying it dates back 8 months. So you were originally given a cease and desist order and you just didn't follow it. And so this is a follow-up to it. How does this escalate the situation?
yeah, so this is we didn't follow the cease and desist because of what we were being accused of. It just simply wasn't true. Like I said, they were accusing us of doing business with the public, and we do not. Everything we do is under private contractual agreement with membership fees paid for that membership, and so we just ignored it. That was the counsel that we were given, and basically what they're doing. I can only speak for farmers, but what they do is, they're just intimidating you essentially. Um, when they send you these big bad government scary letters, you get shaken up, man. And I can speak to it. It's haunting. It's more than stressful, especially the first half a dozen you get. But thankfully, at that point, we had surrounded ourselves by really good, strong, constitutionally sound people. And what these agencies, these bureaucracies, are trying to get you to do is come up to what they come up to their compliance and sign their contracts. They call them permits, they call them licenses, but these are contracts. I think you and we have talked about this before.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone, don't sign any
Yeah.
contract with the state or federal government, because then you are under their thumb. That includes being an LLC. Do not LLC your farm.
I have a media LLC.
Well, I don't think it's that applies to all businesses. Like I have a
Yeah.
buddy that runs a tree service. He's an arborist.
Mhm.
Probably a good idea to have an LLC for that. But if you're dealing in the food world,
Right.
you don't need it. And it's just, man, I want to share our mistakes with everyone that's listening, who might be thinking about getting into this or have made these
Right.
mistakes already and they just don't know. But when you get into business, this is our first venture into entrepreneurship, our
Yeah.
first business we've ever started and ran. So you
And
just
you
kind
guys
of
have
do.
really skyrocketed fast. I mean, you got into it and you're not just doing one beef cow and a few chickens or something. You got a lot of animals there. And so you really were successful quickly. And that partly makes me wonder if that's kind of why they're making an example out of you, because you are so successful.
And I think the fact that we are very vocal about what we do,
Yeah.
and we're spreading awareness of constitutional rights, and they don't like that. But yeah, so you just in the beginnings of business, you just do what other people tell you, to do. There's lots of people out there giving advice on things they have no business giving advice on, and that's one of the toughest things in business and life is figuring out who to take advice from.
Right.
You don't need a business license to operate. You don't need an LLC. You don't need these things. That's what the state would love you to do because that's what they teach you, in public schools and whatnot. But we won't go there, I guess.
Well, and let's also, just in case people are maybe unfamiliar with this topic, in Virginia, you can't sell raw milk for human consumption. It's a pet food, technically. I, or you have to, if you want to sign the license with the government, you're supposed to sell it as pet food, right? I personally, I don't sell raw milk. I don't barely make enough raw milk for us here at our farm, maybe someday, but if I did, at first I thought this pet milk or pet food thing was like, okay, this is a good workaround. But the more and more I hear about it, I don't think it is because, first off, if the government calls you into court, are you going to say you really didn't know that people were drinking? I mean, I would be lying. I think it's good for people. I'm not going to lie to you that I think it's just for pets and perjure myself about it. And I don't want to sell it that way because it's good for people. I think it's a good, valuable product. I don't think that. I think it's like velvet handcuffs. They tell you, look, you could do it this way, just do it our way, but it's not really freedom. And they're still going to come in and I've seen other farms that have done it that way. And eventually the hammer comes down on you. They say, we know you're selling for people. We know you're selling for people. And they lock your refrigerators. And so that's not a good option. Now, the human consumption option in Washington State, where we were just vacationing for my daughter was the flower girl in our old babysitter's wedding, you can sell for human consumption. But nobody can afford to have one cow and sell for human consumption and do it on the up and up in Washington State because the rules are so dense. You have to have all kinds of infrastructure. So this makes it so that the person who has one cow, I know somebody like that in Washington. I bought milk from that person in Washington. That person cannot get the permit and follow the rules. So it creates a black market, which is crazy that we have to have a black market for milk of all things. I mean, it really, Bryson, I will hand it to you. I think the most gangster people out there right now are dealing in raw milk. I mean, truly, they're the bravest people because it is it's just a firestorm product for some reason. I think it is really where like the nail is coming to the head of the hammer on a lot of spiritual issues we're witnessing in this country and political and otherwise. I mean, I really believe it's all going to start coming towards raw milk, which is very weird, but that's where we are. So my hat's off to you for being brave enough to take it on. But that's the deal in Virginia, in case people didn't know, and other states like Florida. You can't sell it, with a government permit for human consumption. So, and what Bryson's doing is a workaround, is a private membership group. Yeah, so you don't say you're selling for pets anymore, right, Bryson? You don't have to say that you're not doing that.
No, ma'am. And I just want to comment. Isn't it crazy to say that someone's brave for selling food?
I know, but you are.
Like it should
You
not
are.
take any courage to be a producer of food and feed
I
your
know.
community. It should. That drives me nuts.
Yeah, you should be supported. It should be something that's encouraged and supported so that people have access to good food. Right, because
Mhm.
probably Mountain Dew, Pepsi Company, Coke, whatever, they're not scared. They don't go to bed worried that the government's going to show up at their office with a cease and desist at any point in time.
Uh, no, no, not at all. So your question about we don't sell anything as pet food anymore. We have in the past, but I had a friend of mine who's also a Christian put it on me that like you said, what you're doing at the end of the day, and it's a bit deceitful to sell something as pet food when you really do intend the end user to be a human being, whether you admit it or not. Some people will disagree with that and say you're just you are following local governing authority by doing that, but they control your language, your intent very closely when you do that. And pet food, raw milk operations have been thrown out in state level Supreme Courts before being called a sham.
Yeah.
So have herd share operations too. Herd shares are
Mhm.
the other common thing to distribute raw milk to the community. But a lot of people are under the impression that they are a legally protected entity, and it may differ state to state, but in the Commonwealth of Virginia, they are not. They are herd shares are at the sufferance of the state, meaning they're simply allowed.
Yeah.
And if the state chooses to if they want, they can change their mind on it any day, and it's not really a safe way to operate. Whereas a PMA is and supposed to be a constitutional right, and Supreme Court upheld right at that. I guess we'll find out about
Yeah. So, Bryson, before we go any farther on that, let's just tell people how they can stay up to date on your case, because you are going to court soon and asking for people to come support you. So just tell people, like, where can they get the information, and how can they stay up to speed on this? If they want to support you, what should they do?
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. The easiest, the fastest thing to do would be, Facebook, Instagram. We're on TikTok too, but Facebook and Instagram for this type of thing has been our primary, pipe to use to communicate with people. You could also, go on our website, triple-oaks-farm-pma.com, and create an account, and we'll capture your email automatically, and you'll receive updates through that as well. If people want to support, man, I mean, pray for us, guidance, wisdom throughout this process. My wife and I, we've never been to court. We don't have criminal records, but what better thing to be drug into court for than taking a stand for food rights? That's how we see that. And if you feel inclined to do so, we do have a Give Send Go account set up. You can just search Triple Oaks Farm, and you'll find us. We do have mounting legal fees, of course, that we would like to get paid off, because we're living pretty tight already, and when you put 25 grand on a farm, it's tough. But we chose to do this. We could have complied and run a herd share program, but that's not what we did. We kind of knew what we were doing. We're food advocates, and if you talk about it and you don't be about it, then you're a little bit yellow to me.
What does the state want you to do? What does compliance look like for them?
Well, what they are accusing us of is unlawfully selling raw milk to the public. And again, that's not the case. We're not unlawfully selling raw milk. PMAs are legal, and we don't sell to the public. So the Department of Health is attempting to petition the court to permanently enjoin us from unlawfully selling raw milk, which means ban us from unlawfully selling raw milk. So essentially, what they would like us to do is go back to either selling it as pet food, which is not an option because I'm not signing a contract that waives my Fourth Amendment constitutional rights, or go back to a herd share program. Now, at the end of the day, Allison, if we lose an appeal and lose an appeal, and we go all the way up to the federal Supreme Court level, which may happen, and I lose and I get put in a position where it's like, okay, jail or herd share program, I'm going to run a herd share program. But again, those just aren't safe. You're still putting yourself under the thumb of the government, which should not. It's not right. It is unconstitutional. But we've got options, I guess I could always quit, but
No. Well, how are people supposed to get their milk?
Yeah, it's nuts. That's what we're working on right now. Well, maybe I should hold my cards closer, but if we're.
Oh, I lost your microphone. While you're figuring it out. Oh, you're back. You're back. Okay, good. We lost your microphone.
I'm back.
Can't hear me anymore.
I got I got you. Sorry, I got
Okay,
a phone call. I turned Do Not Disturb on. I forgot to do that. My bad.
That's okay.
Yeah, so if we get a negative ruling in this, the judge needs to understand that you're not just impacting us as a farm, you're impacting over 1,000 family members in your own community, who get this milk every week, sometimes twice a week. This is people view this as a medicine, as a healthcare item, and you're just going to take that from them based off a petition from a bureaucracy and an unelected official.
Right. Right. It really is. It is. It's just it's mind-boggling. I'm going to ask you in a second. Um, we've discussed this before, but I am interested to just revisit why raw milk. I mean, why milk? Why does milk have the target on its back? Before we hear Bryson's answer to that, greenpasture.org, promo code Allison, 10% off. Green Pasture is where we get our cod liver butter oil blend. We see, I'm going to find it right here. Shop fermented cod liver oil and concentrated butter oil. We take the gel. So I click the gel, and then we like the cinnamon tingle flavor. That's our favorite. We take, I don't know, I probably take a good tablespoon of this a day. I used to get cavities all the time. 10 years ago, I switched over to this. I take a tablespoon every day. It's full of vitamins A, D, and K, a lot of great omegas, and it made a significant difference for me. I would one time went 3 years without going to the dentist. I thought for sure they were going to find cavities. I had no cavities, and they actually remarked at the state of my teeth. And then nobody asked me what I was doing differently because they probably didn't care. It's because it had nothing to do with dentistry. Anyway, so if you go to greenpasture.org, you get 10% off with your promo code Allison. Go grab your fermented cod liver oil, concentrated butter oil, made the way that Weston Price, biological dentist, turn of the century, said you should put this product together so you get the most out of it, because the cod liver oil has different stuff that the butter oil has, but they both work together so you get the most absorption of the full product. They also have a lot of great stuff at Green Pasture. They've got all kinds of like ghee and coconut oil products, stuff like that. But this is my favorite. So greenpasture.org, promo code Allison, you get 10% off. And really just a great company anyway. Very free speech, health freedom oriented company. All right. So Bryson, yeah, why milk? I mean, there's all kinds of food recalls all the time. There's raw spinach recalls. There are recalls of chicken fettuccine Alfredo from Kroger. I did that when I was reading News to My Chickens a couple months ago. And though I think you are crazy to eat chicken fettuccine Alfredo from Kroger, I still will support your right to go poison your body with that food if that's what you want. Okay. So if you can do that, and there's plenty of food recalls out there. Baby formula was recalled a couple years ago to such a degree because of, I think, E. coli, that there was a shortage of baby formula. But nobody ever goes on the internet. You don't see a doctor going on Instagram saying, see, guys, this is why we pasteurize milk. This is why we don't do it this way. They understand, okay, well, people are, they support your right. They think it's fine to go get chicken fettuccine Alfredo from Kroger or baby formula that's probably not very nutritious for your kid, or raw spinach. Nobody ever questions the sanity of people who are doing that. So why raw milk? I mean, what's your opinion on why raw milk gets treated as if we're a bunch of anti-science Neanderthals?
Listen, the commissioner of the Virginia Department of Health, her name is Karen Shelton. She is telling the good people of the Commonwealth of Virginia that you do not have the right to choose where your food comes from and how you buy it. She is telling the people that you do not have the First Amendment constitutional right to privately associate, to freely assemble, to privately contract. And that is what's going on here. And why raw milk? Because what happens when people start drinking raw milk? If it's the first, it's like a catalyst to all other things health. On top of raw milk is incredibly healthy for you. It heals the gut. It's healing people with eczema who break out when they drink pasteurized milk, but it clears up when they drink raw milk. I can't explain that. I can just tell you the stories, the testimonies. People that have leaky gut, it heals your gut. People that think they're lactose intolerant, it's not the case at all. They're just pasteurized milk intolerant, because of course most people know by now when you heat up milk and cook milk, you are eliminating the lactase enzyme that your body needs to properly digest lactose. So you're drinking an incomplete product. And I could go on about the probiotics and the other health benefits, but essentially, why raw milk? Well, they're doing a really good job at stigmatizing and demonizing it. But it is such a powerful health food. They don't want the good people of this country to be healthy, to be thriving, to be wealthy, to be independent, to be all those things. They want you to be fat, sick, broke, and dependent on their systems that they have in play. And well, I guess opinion here. That's what they want. They don't want you out here living your best life essentially. So that's my opinion on why it's raw milk.